Part 1. The ice behind the eyes. Have you ever cried in front of someone and seen nothing? No warmth, no sympathy, flicker of emotion, just a blank stare, or worse, a look of annoyance. That moment is unforgettable. It leaves a mark, not just because of the pain you were expressing, but because someone who should have cared showed no sign that they did. In that split second, it feels like your humanity collided with a wall of glass. You begin to question what kind of person could witness another's sorrow and feel absolutely nothing. And more importantly, why? This video is not just about them. It's about you. It's about the mirror that moment holds up to your soul. When we meet a person who doesn't react to our suffering, we are forced to ask, what is compassion? Is it natural or is it learned? And what does it mean when someone seems to lack it entirely? Today, we are going deep into the psychology of those who feel nothing when you cry. But be warned, this isn't just about them. This is about the dark corners of the human mind where empathy dies, or perhaps was never born. Let's begin with the first truth. Not all people are wired for empathy. That's not a judgment, it's a psychological fact. Some individuals, due to genetics, trauma, or upbringing, have a severely diminished capacity for emotional resonance. The brain's mirror neuron system, which allows us to feel what others feel, may be underdeveloped or suppressed. For others, emotional detachment becomes a defense mechanism, a wall built so high and so thick that not even your tears can seep through. But the question is, when did that wall get built? And who hurt them so badly that they stopped feeling? Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." This is the paradox of the emotionally numb. Many of them were once deeply feeling individuals, but somewhere along the way, they fought monsters, abuse, betrayal, neglect, and in the process, something inside them hardened. Do you know someone like this? Or perhaps, have you become like this? And if so, how would you even know? Imagine a child crying in the corner of a room, ignored by a parent whose own heart is frozen. That child learns early, emotions are dangerous. Vulnerability is punished, so they bury their feelings day after day, year after year. By the time they're adults, they've constructed an emotional armor so thick that not even the suffering of others can reach them. The person who feels nothing when you cry may not be cruel. They may be broken. And yet, knowing this doesn't make it easier when you're the one in pain.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Let's pause here and ask a deep question. What is the moral responsibility of someone who feels nothing? If empathy is not their natural state, are they to blame? Or are they just another victim of a cruel system, a cold upbringing, a world that never taught them to feel? Plato believed that justice is the soul in harmony. But what happens when the soul is fractured? Can there be justice in a world where some people feel too much and others nothing at all? There are those, of course, for whom emotional detachment isn't a wound, it's a weapon. These are the manipulators, the narcissists, the cold strategists who calculate everything and feel nothing. They can watch you sob, break, shatter, and remain unmoved. Why? Because your emotions are not relevant to them. You are not real to them. You are a tool, a pawn, an inconvenience. In psychoanalytic terms, they may suffer from malignant narcissism or antisocial personality traits. But labels only go so far. What matters is this: they don't feel, and they don't care. And that, for many of us, is the most terrifying truth of all. But not all emotional numbness is malicious. Sometimes it's simply a form of burnout. Compassion fatigue is real. In a world overflowing with suffering, some people simply shut down. The news, the wars, the personal tragedies, they all blend into a background hum of despair. And when your friend cries or your partner breaks down, you feel nothing. Not because you're heartless, but because your emotional well has run dry. Have you ever been there? Have you ever stared blankly at someone's tears, not because you wanted to hurt them, but because you had nothing left to give? The Stoic philosophers believed that emotions must be mastered, not indulged. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." For the Stoics, detachment was a virtue, a way to remain calm in a chaotic world. But there's a fine line between detachment and indifference, between inner peace and emotional vacancy. And when someone watches you cry and feels nothing, you have to wonder, are they stoic or simply absent? Let's go deeper. Some people are terrified of emotions not just yours, but their own. Your tears are a trigger. They remind them of feelings they've spent years avoiding. So they shut down. They withdraw. They look away, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Feeling is dangerous to them. It threatens to open a door they've nailed shut. What if your sadness is a mirror showing them the grief they've buried? What if your vulnerability is too honest, too raw, too real? We must also talk about power. Sometimes, emotional detachment is a form of dominance. The one who doesn't feel holds the power. They become the judge, the unmoved mover, the godlike observer who remains above the chaos. Your tears are seen as weakness, and in their silence, they assert superiority. It's a psychological power play, often unconscious. But make no mistake, it leaves you feeling small, helpless, and ashamed. Have you ever felt judged for your pain, not by words, but by cold silence? And now comes the hardest truth. Sometimes, the person who feels nothing when you cry is you. Yes, you. There are moments in life when we become emotionally numb, even to the suffering of those we love. It's not something we planned, it just happened. Maybe we were overwhelmed, maybe we were exhausted, maybe we were trying to protect ourselves. But in that moment, we became the one who didn't react, the one who didn't feel. And if we're honest, truly honest, it haunts us. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Emotional numbness often lives in the unconscious. We don't choose to be detached. We become detached because some part of us believes it is safer. And until we confront that belief, we will remain strangers to our own hearts. So here is the question. What are you afraid to feel? Think about it. What emotion scares you the most? Is it grief, rage, helplessness, vulnerability? The numb person is not immune to emotion. They are running from it. And the longer they run, the colder they become. Until one day, they find themselves staring at someone who is crying and feeling absolutely nothing. But there is hope. Always. Because numbness is not the end. It is a signal, a message, a whisper from the soul saying, something is wrong. Come back to me. And when we listen, really listen, we begin to thaw. It's not easy. It takes time. But even the coldest heart can learn to feel again. So the next time someone doesn't react to your tears, ask not just why don't they care, but also what happened to them. And more importantly, what can I do with this pain that makes me stronger, not smaller? Because your tears are not a weakness. They are a message. They are truth. And no matter who ignores them, they matter. Part 2. The hidden architecture of emotional detachment. Most people assume that emotionlessness is simply a lack and absence of feeling, a hollow space where empathy should have been. But the truth is more complex, more haunting. Emotional detachment is not a void. It's a structure, a survival system, a carefully engineered architecture built not from nothingness, but from pain, fear, and necessity. We think of numb people as empty, but they are often full of unresolved grief, repressed anger, and memories that ache too much to be felt again. To understand the psychology of those who feel nothing when you cry, we must walk into their inner world, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Imagine their mind as a fortress, each stone a moment of early betrayal or abandonment. The walls are high, the doors locked, and the windows boarded up. Not because they want to keep others out, but because they once opened those doors and were hurt, deeply, irrevocably. So now they protect themselves by refusing to feel. You might be asking, but how can someone live like that? How can they go through life without feeling the agony or beauty of others? The answer lies in adaptation. Just as the body can adapt to extreme cold, the psyche can adapt to emotional frost. The nervous system learns to shut down empathy as a form of self-preservation. Over time, this becomes automatic. In psychology, we call this emotional numbing, often tied to trauma and PTSD. It's not a decision, it's a reaction. And it can be terrifyingly effective. There's a critical distinction here between people who choose to suppress emotion and those who have lost access to it. The first group may be hiding from responsibility. The second group is hiding from pain. And this difference matters, because when you cry in front of someone who feels nothing, you may be triggering their deepest unconscious defenses. They don't just see your tears, they feel the ghost of their own buried tears. And that ghost is something they've spent years trying to silence. Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "Compassion is the basis of morality." But what happens to morality when compassion is cut off? What guides a person who cannot feel? Often they rely on logic, rules, or control. They become hyper-rational, overly structured, sometimes even robotic. In their eyes, feelings are chaos, and your tears, they're a threat to that order. So instead of comforting you, they distance themselves. Not because they hate you, but because they fear the collapse of their carefully constructed inner world. Consider this. What if the person who feels nothing when you cry is actually overwhelmed by your emotion, but has no language for it, no tools, no mop? What if they were never taught how to process sadness or fear? Many people grow up in emotionally illiterate environments where feelings are dismissed, mocked, or punished. In such households, crying is seen as weakness and empathy is seen as indulgence. These people become adults who flinch at intimacy, not because they don't want to connect, but because they don't know how. And yet, this lack of emotional response can be profoundly damaging to relationships. When you cry and someone feels nothing, you begin to question your own worth. You wonder if you're too much, too sensitive, too dramatic. But let me tell you this, your feelings are valid. Your tears are sacred. And the way someone responds to them says far more about their emotional capacity than your emotional state. Do not shrink your humanity to fit into someone else's numbness. Now here's a difficult truth. Some people prefer to feel nothing. They see emotions as liabilities. To them, empathy is a weakness to be exploited. These individuals often rise to positions of power, where detachment becomes an asset. They make hard decisions. They stay calm under pressure. But in personal relationships, this emotional distance becomes a poison. They may not intend to hurt you, but their inability to connect becomes a slow, silent erosion of trust and intimacy. The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned us about the banality of evil, the idea that profound harm can be caused not by monsters, but by ordinary people who feel nothing. Emotional detachment, when unchecked, can lead to moral apathy. It's not just a psychological issue, it's an ethical one. Because when we stop feeling, we stop caring. And when we stop caring, we become capable of great harm, not always through action, but through inaction, through silence, through indifference. So how do we navigate relationships with emotionally detached people? The first step is understanding. You must ask, is this person unwilling or unable? Are they choosing not to care? Or are they emotionally handicapped? This distinction is critical. If they are unwilling, then boundaries are your only protection. But if they are unable, then compassion may be your bridge. Still, you must never lose yourself trying to awaken someone who is committed to staying asleep. Here's a question to ask yourself. Are you trying to be loved by someone who is emotionally unavailable because that feels familiar? Many of us are drawn to the cold because we grew up in the cold. We confuse emotional distance with normalcy. We think love must be earned through suffering. But love is not earned. It is received. If you keep crying in front of someone who feels nothing, maybe it's time to stop hoping they'll change and start asking why you're still waiting. Let's talk about healing. Can emotionally detached people change? Yes, but only if they want to. The first step is awareness. They must recognize their emotional numbness, not as a strength, but as a wound. Then comes the work. Therapy, introspection, vulnerability. They must learn to feel again. And that is not easy. It's like learning to walk after years of paralysis. Painful, awkward, raw, but possible. For those of us on the receiving end of this numbness, we have our own work to do. We must learn not to internalize their silence, not to make it about us. Just because someone doesn't respond to your pain doesn't mean your pain is invalid. It means their emotional radar is broken. And you, my friend, deserve to be seen, heard, and held. Not tolerated, not analyzed, held. The Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron once said, "Compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals." We must remember that even the emotionally numb are not beneath us or above us. They are us. At some point, we have all felt too much and shut down. At some point, we have all looked at someone else's pain and felt nothing, not because we didn't care, but because we couldn't feel. So here's another question. What would it take for you to feel everything you've been avoiding? What would happen if you stopped numbing your own heart? Because the truth is, emotional detachment is contagious. When someone close to you feels nothing, you start to feel less. You start to mirror their coldness. You start to deaden your sensitivity just to survive. And before you know it, you've become like them, numb, detached, distant. Do not let that happen. Protect your empathy like it's sacred, because it is. In the end, emotional detachment is not a mystery. It's a map of pain, fear, and forgotten sorrow. And if we follow that map with compassion, not to fix others, but to understand them, we may just find our way back to the warmth of human connection. But we must walk it carefully, because the path to feeling again is lined with shadows. And only those willing to face those shadows will ever feel the light again. Your tears are not a burden. They are a gift, a testament to your aliveness. And if someone cannot receive that gift, it is not your job to make them worthy of it. It is your job to protect it, your job to honor it, your job to give it to someone who can feel. Part 3. When the heart awakens, the final confrontation. There comes a moment in every emotional journey where the mirror cracks. The person who has felt nothing, who has lived behind layers of detachment and silence, comes face to face with the truth. That numbness is not peace. It is not strength. It is not control. It is the slow suffocation of the soul. And when that truth finally emerges, when the frozen heart begins to thaw, it is both terrifying and liberating. But before we speak of awakening, we must understand resistance. Emotional awakening does not arrive gently. It comes like an earthquake, shaking the foundations of everything the detached person has built. They must confront the pain they've buried, the people they've hurt, the years they've lost. And most terrifying of all, they must confront themselves. Who are they without the armor? What remains when the mask of indifference falls away? Soren Kierkegaard once wrote, "The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have." This is the existential crisis that often hits the emotionally numb. They realize too late that their detachment has cost them the very things they longed for: connection, love, intimacy. They remember the life they could have had, the version of themselves they abandoned, the people they pushed away. And that grief, it is the beginning of feeling again. When the heart begins to awaken, it does not do so all at once. It starts with small cracks, moments of unexpected emotion, sudden tears, a memory that hurts more than it should. These are the signals, the soul knocking on the door. And if the person is brave enough to listen, to not run away, they begin the journey back to themselves. But make no mistake, this path is not romantic. It is brutal. Because to feel again is to suffer again. And for many, suffering was the very thing they were trying to escape. And yet, within that suffering is something sacred. Philosopher Alan Watts said, "The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. Numbness, though it may feel safe, is lifeless. It is a permanent winter. But pain, that sharp, aching pain of emotion, is a sign of life. A heart that hurts is a heart that beats." So when the emotionally detached begin to feel again, even if it's agony, they are returning to life. Now let's turn our gaze toward you, the one who cried, the one who felt everything when they felt nothing. What happens when that person finally awakens? Do you forgive them? Do you open your arms and let them back in? Or do you protect your heart, knowing that their journey is not your responsibility? These are questions only you can answer. But remember, just because someone starts to feel doesn't mean they're ready to love. Awareness is not transformation. It is only the beginning. We must talk about the danger of emotional reawakening. When someone who has long been numb begins to feel again, the floodgates can burst. Decades of suppressed emotion come roaring to the surface: rage, despair, regret. They may lash out, they may collapse, they may become someone unrecognizable, even to themselves. This is the chaos before rebirth. And if they don't have the tools, the guidance, or the support, they may retreat into numbness again. Because in the absence of healing, pain feels like drowning. So how do we help them? The answer is deceptively simple: by standing in truth. Not by fixing, not by rescuing, but by being a living example of what it means to feel. When you cry, you are not weak. You are a beacon. You are showing them what it means to be alive, to be vulnerable, to be real. And sometimes, that is the very light they need to find their way out of the dark. But be careful. You are not their healer. You are not their therapist. You are not their savior. If they want to change, they must choose it. If they want to feel, they must face their ghosts. You can walk beside them, but you cannot walk for them. This is the final confrontation, not with you, but with themselves. We should also reflect on a deeper truth. Emotional detachment is not just a personal issue. It's a cultural epidemic. We live in a world that rewards stoicism, punishes vulnerability, and glorifies control. Boys are told not to cry. Girls are told to smile through pain. Adults are told to stay strong when they are falling apart. Is it any wonder that so many of us grow into people who can't feel? We must unlearn what society has taught us. We must reclaim our emotional lives, not just for ourselves, but for our children, our partners, our communities. Because a world full of numb people is a dangerous place. Empathy is not optional. It is the glue that holds civilization together. Without it, we become machines, efficient, productive, and utterly alone. One of the most powerful things you can do is to feel fully, to refuse to harden, to stay tender in a world that tries to make you cold. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of courage. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Your tears are not just sorrow, they are light. They are the opening through which truth flows. So what now? What do you do with all of this? You begin by honoring your emotions. You stop apologizing for your sensitivity. You stop trying to be palatable to people who cannot taste emotion. And if you are the one who has been numb, you begin the long, painful, beautiful work of feeling again, of grieving, of forgiving, of reconnecting. And then something miraculous happens. You begin to see others differently. You no longer fear their emotions. You no longer judge their pain. You begin to feel with them, to walk with them, to cry with them. And in that shared vulnerability, something divine awakens. Compassion not as a concept, but as a living truth. This is the final truth. The person who feels nothing when you cry is not your enemy. They are your teacher. Not because you need to tolerate their coldness, but because they remind you of what happens when we stop feeling. They show you the cost of emotional exile. And in that reflection, you reclaim your own capacity to feel deeply, love fully, and live authentically. So cry, not for them, for you. Cry as a declaration of life. Cry because you are no longer willing to be numb. Cry because your tears are a rebellion against a world that wants you to be silent. And if someone watches your tears and feels nothing, look them in the eyes and say, I will not abandon my humanity just because you have abandoned yours. And then walk away, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in freedom. Because you now know your feelings are not a weakness. They are your power. They are your truth. And no one, no matter how frozen, can take that away from you. Thank you for walking this journey. If this awakens something in you, remember, the heart is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.